What's up, suppers? It is Deibs, Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. Welcome to Suit Up. First things first, the Suit Up podcast can be found on iTunes and Spotify. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit like and subscribe below. Joining us is our co-host, Jack Connell. Follow him on Twitter at JackConnellTPL. What's up, Jack?
Nothing much, getting ready to do our first rendition of Weekly Wrap-Up, talk about some of the big movie and comic book news of the week. I'm ready to talk about. I'm excited.
Exactly. This is a brand new show for us. We are going to recap all the top nerd stories of the week that we think were worth mentioning. All right, Jack, you ready to suit up?
Let's suit up.
Let's suit up. All right, guys, let's start with Monday. On Monday, we've got our first look at the Morbius trailer. What was your initial thoughts on the trailer, man?
Vulture? Like, the heck was that? I did not expect that. And then you had Spider-Man PS4 version in the background, murder on it. It's just, obviously, it looks like it's going to be a good movie. It's just interesting to see these ties that we've always talked about we see could happen, but it's weird actually seeing them being put into place now.
Dude, that was a wild trailer because there's so much going on, right? You had, because we never really knew what the Sony Marvel MCU deal really was. We don't know the details of that. And everyone heard that, Venom could be possibly going to the MCU and, what that would look like. And boom, it just kind of like threw you right into it. And there's so many thoughts on that trailer. Could we see a Spider-Verse on the big screen? Like, what if there's a scene, in Spider-Man 4 where you have, Andrew Garfield over here, Tobey Maguire over there, and Tom Holland over here. What do you want that? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
I don't know if I really want that. I feel like it's a cool idea in theory, but I don't know how it would play out well unless it's a live action version of Into the Spider-Verse. Like, I don't really know. I mean, I think Garfield was a great charismatic Spider-Man. I feel like Tobey, I don't know how he'd be at this age. I mean, how old is Tobey Maguire now? He's got to be, what? It is
40. Yeah, probably.
So I don't know how well that would play out. It's definitely an interesting idea in theory.
And then I think the trailer absolutely confirmed that we're getting the Sinestro 6. That movie has been in development hell with Sony. I think you have the Vulture. There's so many rumors going around that Kraven's going to be the big bad of Spider-Man 3. It just fits really well with how Spider-Man 3 wrapped up. But the Sinestro 6, man, that'd be really fun, especially if there's some sort of tie with the MCU. I would love to see Doc Ock introduced at some point. Do you think we're going to see a Sinestro 6 anytime soon?
I would love to, but it's just been developmental hell for what? It's got to be at least 6 years now.
Forever.
It's been a while. And it's just, you don't know what the eventual ending is going to be between Sony and Marvel and this whole deal. We still don't even know what's going on. We don't know what universe is taking place and what's going on. I would have a better answer if I knew what the end goal was for Sony, if Sony's going into the MCU or if Sony's trying to pull stuff out of the MCU into their own universe. And it's just very confusing, and I don't know. I would love to see it, but I don't know what universe it would lie in.
I know. But I think the bottom line is I went from like this much excitement for Morbius to this much. And I think a lot of the reason behind that is the unknown. And just so many question marks, just popped up in my head after watching that trailer. Like, what if Morbius is heading to the MCU and then we have a Blade versus Morbius showdown? Like, that would be mind-blowing, man.
That would be definitely something to see. I mean, who knows? I don't even know. 4 years ago, we even thought anything like this would be happening. So much has rapidly changed in the MCU. I mean, anything can happen at this point.
Really, really cool. Also on Monday, we got a brand new Black Widow trailer that showed us more of Taskmaster. What did you think of the trailer?
I think he looked good. I'm really excited to see what he does. I mean, he kind of saw they both kind of did the same flip-flop when they were both coming when he's playing Black Widow. It's definitely going to be exciting to see. I think it has a lot of Winter Soldier vibes to it. I think we both kind of talked about this a little bit. It does feel like it's like very much like the Winter Soldier. I love Red Guardian. He just seems awesome. And I just thought it looks great. It has a lot of great action scenes from the trailer. I'm really excited to see it.
It looked really good. And the biggest question that came out of that trailer was, who is Taskmaster? Because they are clearly moving away from the comics, I think, and are going to put their own spin on this character. Could it be Black Widow's sister, Yelena? Like, who could it be? What's her name? Could it be someone Black Widow knows, or is it someone new? I think that's kind of the mystery. When it shows you them like flipping up, like the first thought I had was like the Spider-Man pointing meme. Like that was, there's clearly a tie-in there that there's some sort of Black Widow history tie-in with who is Taskmaster. I thought that was really cool. Then on Tuesday, we got it was announced that the whole cast of the Lord of the Rings Amazon series was revealed. It was basically a bunch of unknowns. I don't really recognize anyone, but the guy who is going to be the villain in the series is Benjen Stark from Game of Thrones. That was kind of cool. We know that Orlando Bloom won't be in it. Gandalf was kind of hit or miss with it. Maybe he'll return. Ian McKellen, I'm speaking of. Are you excited about this Lord of the Rings Amazon series?
I think it's definitely really good hands, and I think the story is one that's always taken with extreme care and handle and made sure it's done right. So I do have a lot of hope for it. I think it's going to be great. Like you said, I think it's better off we had a whole new cast, a whole new story to kind of explore. I'm really excited to see that.
It's going to take thousands of years before Fellowship of the Ring, and is rumored that the plot will center around Aragorn's bloodline and the fall of men. I mean, anything Lord of the Rings is going to be absolutely fantastic. It was also announced on Tuesday that Taika Waititi is beginning filming with Thor, Love, and Thunder. They are going to be beginning sometime around August. And I guess the biggest news is not confirmed yet, but Christian Bale is in talks to be in some sort of role in Love and Thunder. I guess, what was your reaction to that? And who do you think Christian Bale is going to play?
I love it. I think Christian Bale's a great actor. I think he'll be great for the series. I'm really excited to see it. I want him to be Beta Ray Bill. I don't know if he's going to be Beta Ray Bill. I mean, there's definitely a list of possible people who may be playing, but I feel like that would be the best fit for him and the character is to see him as Beta Ray Bill.
That would be a really cool casting. I'd be totally 100% fine with it. But I want villains, man. When I think of Christian Bale, I think of Patrick Bateman, I think his name is, from American Psycho. Like, I want him to be that full-on crazy villain. And the one I go to with Christian Bale is Dario Agger. And he's like this minotaur that's like this also expert businessman. He can shapeshift, so he can be human and like in battle, he's got like super strength and can actually go toe to toe with the Incredible Hulk. But he turns into this giant minotaur. Dario Agger would be fun, but yeah, Beta Ray Bill, that would be awesome. Then we move on to Wednesday. It was announced that the Rise of Skywalker earned $1 billion. This is not the first, second, third, or fourth, or fifth, or sixth. This is the seventh freaking Disney movie to make $1 billion. Can you name the other six?
I'm going to say, I guess, would you say Avatar is a Disney property since they own it? Fox now, would that count as one?
It's not included, but I thought it would be. But for some reason, when I Googled it, it was not on the list.
I'm going to guess, well, obviously Endgame. Infinity War.
No.
Really?
Not on the list.
Episode 7 and 8?
Nope.
Frozen 2?
Yes.
Toy Story 4?
Yes.
Lion King?
Lion King? Got two more, man.
How many more? Two more?
Two more. One's a recent Marvel movie, and the other is a recent live-action Disney movie.
Here you go. Aladdin and Captain Marvel.
Boom. So that is absolutely crazy. Rise of Skywalker is going to conclude its run right around that $1.2 to $1.25 billion range. It's not going to beat The Last Jedi, which was around $1.3 billion worldwide. And Star Wars The Force Awakens concluded with $2 billion worldwide. Man, it's a Disney world, and we just live in it, man.
It's crazy to see. I mean, they've been producing a lot of top movies recently. It's a little bit interesting to see. I mean, they've done a good job with it, though.
Yeah, we're just getting started, dude. Because when you look at the MCU as a whole, dude, you're gonna get 4 MCU movies moving forward per year, and then we're gonna talk about Star Wars in a little bit, and God knows how many Star Wars movies are going to be coming out in the near future. Also announced on Wednesday, James Wan will be producing an Aquaman animated series for HBO Max. I mean, honestly, my first take is like, is that DC Universe, app show program? Is that completely wasted? Like, I was one to actually have it. I think I'm going to get rid of it, but that's ridiculous. But anyway, James Wan and Warner Brothers are going to make a three episode show on Aquaman, King of Atlantis, about basically Arthur Curry settling in as the King of Atlantis, and it's not official, but it seems to be pretty much connected with the film. Are you excited for that, man?
So I mean, they definitely have, from like the 70s to the early 2000s. Aquaman is kind of seen as the laughing stock of DC, and Jason Momoa, I feel like, has flipped that on its head completely. And he's been definitely seen a lot more popularity towards the character. He's definitely shown in a whole new light, and he's kind of been receptive more to pop culture. And I think this is going to help branch that popularity and keep moving forward with it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stories there that they could go with. Could it be Siren? Could it be any kind of Black Manta story? There's some real potential. The world building in the original Aquaman movie was absolutely fantastic. There's so many directions they could go with that. I think there's actually another film about the Trench. I don't know if you remember the movie in the Trench. There's actually a solo movie in development about that. So there's a lot of different ways this animated show could be like almost a prequel to that. Who knows? But Jason Momoa is not officially cast in that show, so we'll see what happens with that. Also happening on Wednesday was the reviews for Bad Boys for Life came out, and they are good. Is there anything more mind-blowing than that? What was your reaction to that?
I was kind of surprised. I was nervous it was mostly going to do very well, and I'm kind of glad to see that the reviews are showing that it's being receptive by audiences so far, and I'm looking forward to go seeing it in theaters.
Did you see the first two?
I've seen I've seen them briefly. I haven't really seen. I've seen them in like my house and stuff. Obviously I didn't see them in theaters or anything like that.
Okay. Yeah, it's just they're great. Yeah, I walked into these first two movies like at the right time. When Bad Boys came out, the first one I was like in middle school, and then Bad Boys 2 came out. Like I think I was in like college at the time, and it's one of those bad great movies that I recognize that they're terrible, and I think it goes hand in hand with like Will Smith. Do you love his shtick or not? And I personally love it. Like it's along the same lines as Nicolas Cage. Do you love his overreaction, his overacting or not? And I do. Of course, I love freaking Nicolas Cage. He's the man.
My favorite thing, whenever I think of Nicolas Cage, I just think of Community. When they're asking if Nicolas Cage is a good guy or bad guy, and Abed's like has the whole freak out. He watches all 74 of his movies or whatever.
It's so good, man. But yeah, Bad Boys for Life could be the surprise hit of the year. I definitely want to see it. They say all the reviews so far say it's outrageous, and I can't believe it. I would have lost some serious money on that one. None of me was excited for that movie. Are you gonna go see it?
I might, depending on my schedule.
Okay. Then we have another animated. Oh no, this is not animated. We have a live action Green Lantern series that will feature the iconic villain Sinestro. There will be 2 Earth Lanterns on Earth, and honestly, you can't have a Green Lantern series without Sinestro. He's just such a huge part to the show, to the whole plot. I doubt we're going to get Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan kind of on the same screen. I would be willing to guess that Jeff Johns, the guy who does the DCEU, wants to save one of those for the Green Lantern movie in the near future. Are you excited for that?
Yeah, is it a CW? Like, what is the property that's under?
HBO, man.
HBO, huh? Because I didn't know, because the CW verse has kind of been expanded. They did the whole Crisis on Infinite Earths. I didn't know. That was a whole. Did you watch any of that at all?
I watched like bits and pieces. How about you?
I thought the same. I was watching a bunch of clips. You see I thought the really cool thing was the Flash.
That was awesome. That was just a beautiful nod to all the fans.
Yeah, I mean, it was great. But yeah, back to what we were saying. I think that's going to be great. I think Green Lantern's never really been properly done in the live action world, and I think it's going to be great to see Sinestro. Like you said, probably one of Hal Jordan or Jon Stewart, but I think it's really going to be interesting to see. I don't know. Hopefully it's done right and it's done with the right care that it should be done with.
Yeah, Sinestro is a really phenomenal character. I hope that like Sinestro is pretty much the entire series. I want that whole first season to be built up, like his rise to fame and like turn to evil. That would be truly epic. Another big news story that came out was the House of the Dragon. HBO's prequel series for Game of Thrones was delayed and won't come out to at least the year 2022. House of the Dragon will be based on Fire and Blood, which centers around House Targaryen. That sucks, man. What was your reaction to that?
I mean, I think it has. It's just the ending left a sour taste in everybody's mouth. I mean, it's definitely an interesting story from the background. But obviously, I think the Night Walker is. I think that would have been a lot better of a story. Obviously, the wall, all of that lore. But I mean, House Targaryen, it's a definitely good story. But it just sucks. That it's just what the ending leads to.
It does. Just the whole Game of Thrones franchise seems to be like underwater right now, man. Like the whole other series got scrapped. Everything. I don't know what's going on. It's just a mess right now, right?
Yeah, it's just they wrote the writers. I forget their names, but they just ruined it with the season 8. I mean, it was. And the thing is that hurt me the most is I was late to Game of Thrones, and I binged through. I perfectly timed everything so that I would catch back up when season 8 started. And I got I did like the whole series in like a month.
Wow, that's impressive.
It was like my entire free time was spent towards catching up with Game of Thrones because that's what everybody was talking about. I wanted to be up to date and watch this spectacular ending that everybody's talking about. And it was the worst 4 hours of my life was Sixers Game 7 and Episode 5. After that,
that's awesome. Yeah, what I just wish they could just take all of that energy they're putting into these like different series and just rewrite season 8. Is that too much to ask for?
I would love for that to happen, but I think you and I both know that will never happen.
No, it's not going to happen. All right. Another big story that came out recently is a new Jack Reacher TV series is coming to Amazon Prime. Have you ever seen the first 2 films?
I've heard it. I mean, I've heard a lot about it, John Krasinski and everything. I've heard it's been great so far. That's what I've been told. That's one of my to-dos to watch. So I definitely have heard about it. I've heard great things about it. So I'm assuming the next one will be just as good.
Yeah, they're Tom Cruise movies, and I think like Jack Ryan. It's basically this badass that's weaving in and out of this like overarching investigative story. It's really good. I really highly recommend those 2 movies. That absolutely could translate as a TV show, I think. I highly doubt Tom Cruise will be in it, but that could be fun. That's definitely something to watch for. And we have, probably your biggest news story of the week is a crossover in the works. Could a crossover be in the works between King Kong, Godzilla, and Pacific Rim? There's a rumor floating around that the post-credit scene of Kong or Godzilla versus Kong will tease the Pacific Rim. What was your reaction to that, man?
Based off reading, we both kind of read it. It definitely alludes to possible Pacific Rim, but I think it's likely to explore the background King Ghidorah and Gigan. I think Gigan's they're the 2 major baddies in the Godzilla versus, both extraterrestrial. I think that is what leads to a Space Godzilla. There's a lot of people it could go and allude to next. I think Gigan and Space Godzilla are your 2 likeliest. I don't know if it would be Pacific Rim. I think great idea, but I don't see them crossing paths. I think it will stay in the Godzilla and expand the Godzilla verse.
All right, so I have a question for you, man. What do you want to see from Godzilla versus Kong?
I'm really excited to see. I've been reading a lot of stuff. Spoilers, if you don't want to hear. There's leaks that Mechagodzilla, it has been confirmed in the toy lines, Mechagodzilla will be making an appearance in this movie. He has a very robust look to him. It's not very much like Kiryu and all the Toho versions of Mechagodzilla. It's a very American modernized, what would look like a giant robotic lizard would actually look like. But I think it's definitely interesting. I don't know how he'll play out, but it'll be very interesting to see how he's done. I'm really excited to see that. Kong's going to be grown up. It's just really exciting to see. And like we talked about the post-credits, I think it's going to open up Gigan or Space Godzilla, something of that sort. So I'm really just excited to see. I'm a big Godzilla guy. I'm really excited to see what they expand with the lore.
Love it. Love it. On Thursday, it was also announced that Snowpiercer, the film, is going to get a TV series on TNT. It will be released on May 31st. Have you ever seen the Snowpiercer film?
I have not.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, it's a legit sci-fi classic film starring Captain America, Chris Evans.
Yeah, I'll definitely check out. What's it about?
So it's about it's basically an apocalyptic time period where pretty much everything has been frozen over, like via blizzard. All of humanity is on this one train that circles around the Earth, and there's like,
I thought that.
It's good, man. There's a lot of politics involved, and it's extremely graphic. Chris Evans is totally badass in it. It's a sci-fi movie, but it makes you think a little bit. Ed Harris is in it. It's definitely worth a watch. Just like Jack Reacher, I think that's a really kind of interesting show that really translates to TV. One of the biggest news stories of the week has to be Lucasfilm wanting Taika Waititi to direct a Star Wars movie. What was your reaction to that? And like, what would you want him to do with the Star Wars franchise?
I would love it. I think it's a great idea. It's definitely, I don't know what their plans are. I mean, we've heard a lot of rumors that episode 10, 11, 12, whatever you would want to call it, the new saga, is going to be set in the High Republic. It's about 400 years ago. So the only character you would even see that's currently around would be Yoda. And that's not even to say who knows. It will be a very different time. It's going to be a lot different of a story. I'm really excited to see that from Rian Johnson's trilogy. And then you have the Obi-Wan series coming up. You got Mandalorian Season 2. So I don't know what they would do with this. I think it's going to be a great idea. But I feel like every other week we hear a new director is tied to direct a Star Wars movie. So I would love it, but I'm not putting a lot of hope into it. We'll see. So I don't know what his story, the thing is with Star Wars, there's so many stories to tell. And I don't know what his story would be. So
Yeah, man. I would hope to see something completely fresh and something completely original. I think the more I think about Star Wars moving forward, I want new. I want it like new characters. I'm okay with like the Mandalorian, how they revisit different planets and all the little homages to things like that. But I want new characters. I want new villains. I want more Jedi fighting. I want more lightsaber battles. I want more limbs being cut off, flips, acrobatic, Jedi fights. That's what I want. So that's our show. Anything you want to plug or talk about before we wrap it up?
No, we had a news, like I was talking about before, my sports side stuff. We had a new post position a couple of days ago. You can check that out on Twitter or Instagram at Post Position Pod or on Apple Podcast on the Painted Lines website. That's really what I got going on right now. Just and enjoying life.
Awesome. It is currently Friday afternoon, so we had a surprise album drop this morning. It was Eminem's new album. I did a review for that. Check that out at thepaintedlines.com. Spoiler alert, I actually really liked it. It throws some shades of Slim Shady in there that is vintage Eminem, which I have not liked. The new Eminem. I thought it just was fake. This is more going back to the Slim Shady of old. And I got a top 10 villains list that I'm working on, 2020 in comic book movies and beyond, 2020 and beyond. Can you guess what my number one most anticipated villain is?
Out of any, is it MCU you said, or is it any comic?
Everything.
I don't know.
It is Carnage. Carnage took my number one spot. I'm going to write a post on that, and I'm guessing we'll probably do a reaction podcast for that. Make sure you follow Jack on Twitter at JackKinalTPL. I'm Deibs, Mr. Crockpot. For Jack, for myself, thanks for watching, guys. Stay awesome.